Welcome to my latest video. I hope you will be liking the weekly Tiny Toons uploads. They are a constant feature of the channel, so when all else fails, those will be up. I pre-record them for that very reason. Yes, this is an announcement of a new series on the channel. I will be uploading not full songs like riffs, intros, choruses, verses, how to play these on guitar. That's hence they're Tiny Toons, and they're all under 3 minutes. So far, I have about 5 weeks, or at least up until January 1st, recorded. Yes, most of them are Beatles. Now, jumping straight into the Beatles. I've been watching them. Them is the new Get Back episodes as soon as each episode comes out at like 5:30 in the morning, my time. Then watching them again with my sister to get the full gist and see things that I may have missed. That being said, these are my thoughts on the latest Beatles content dump. Peter Jackson's Get Back. Part 1, Days 1 through 7. I love this episode. Heck, I loved all the episodes, though this was the quote-unquote tricky one. The Beatles gather around to record their last album, so they think, alongside that release is a TV series and a live show to culminate the TV show. They shot everything on 16mm, so it would be formatted well for the television. They all arrive on the 2nd of January, 1969, and all 4 Beatles have basically nothing song-wise. They have to write 14 songs by the end of January or by the 18th for their live show. They start noodling, bring up what they have to the rest of the group. That takes up a lot of the first episode, and I love that. It finally gives us a true insight into the Beatles' creative process for making a song and album. John and Paul are quite frankly stealing the show. Little warning here, I don't know how the band truly functioned prior to the making of this album. It could have been just the same amount of creative input from all 4 Beatles, or all 4 were equally putting in their talent. For this example, I'm using that creative input prior to the making of this album. I'm just gonna say that it was equal for this one thing. That being said, I know that Paul and John wrote the songs per se, though we also know that at this point in time, George had amassed a large sum of songs that he had written, and he mentions this in the 3rd episode, days 17 through 21. We also see in the 1st episode the Beatles doing like a little demo of All Things Must Pass, and I would have totally loved to see the Beatles fully record and release All Things Must Pass. That would have been great. Paul, going with what was previously said, was very pushy on George, John, and Ringo to get all the songs right. John points that in the very start of the 2nd episode with the hidden microphone at lunch scene in the flower pot. Obviously, all the ideas, all of this leads George to leave the group at the end of the 1st episode. This wasn't, though, the very first time a Beatle had left the Beatles. Previously, Ringo left during the White Album sessions, as John also stays in the 2nd episode after George leaves. Or is it? I can't remember. It's either the 1st or 2nd episode. Finally, the other Beatles, Yoko and Linda, meet George at his house and try to convince him to come back, but he leaves in the middle and sends them away. Now the bad stuff is gone. Peter Jackson did an amazing job, and a lot better than Mr. Lindsay Hogg, full stop. Yes, the 1st episode especially was rife with quarrel. It's nothing compared to the original Let It Be film, at least their take on the situation. As we have seen, there are a good 5-ish hours where the Beatles are having a blast, bouncing jokes off of each other, and just all in all having what seems to be a great time. And I cannot understand how important I feel that was to show in the film, because I think that for the past 50 years, the Beatles' image, I guess, has been tarnished for the Beatles for Beatles fans and for everyone else. Moving on, Part 2, days 8 through 16. The 2nd part or episode is the longest in the series. And this to me really sells the idea that Twickenham Studios was cursed, at least for the making of the Let It Be film and album. While they were there, they got the brute and the most of the conflict happened there. It was in this episode and there that the film studio that Michael Lindsay Hogg asked Ringo they should be if they should be truthful in the documentary, and Ringo says, quote, "Tell it like it is." Ringo Starr. Obviously, they didn't take his advice. They did not tell it like it is. Hence, we have to make this remake using this new footage, actually being truthful. In this episode, they get George back and move over to Abbey Road Studios, but many of the days are wasted because George is gone. This makes them decide to turn the TV series into film and push back the show, eventually canceling it. Then they make it into the rooftop concert. Glenn Johns and Michael Lindsay Hogg inform Paul of their idea, and he likes it. It is here that they start to get a lot of work done. Now they feel like they're at home, back in a familiar setting, in EMI Studios in London. And they actually start to record songs. I don't really have much to say about this episode. I love how long it is. Wish it were longer. And finally, it was a great episode, and I'm glad they got to work. Part 3, days 17 through 22. This is hands down the best episode of the entire film. For me, at least. They are totally in the swing of it. It starts off with Ringo showing Octopus's Garden to George, and him helping Ringo with the verses on guitar. John then comes in and helps too. It is just great. Then Paul arrives with his new stepdaughter, and Linda, who is only what seems... The stepdaughter, not Linda, who's only what seems to be 3 or 4-ish, and she is having an amazing time. You could say the time of her life, hanging out with her new stepdad's friends. There's a scene where Paul asks Ringo if he can tone it down on the hi-hats. Unbeknownst to him, it was his daughter hitting the just perfectly in time. I mean, she's 4-ish. That is absolutely crazy. The Beatles spend great time in the studio, finally recording songs that make it onto the album, which was a great detail that Peter Jackson added into the film. The little subtext, this take made it onto the Let It Be album, or this take made it onto a single, right? The film culminates with the rooftop concert and the recording of the acoustic songs, like Two of Us, and any song that uses more piano than the electric one Billy Preston used. Which reminds me, I failed to mention in part 2, but Billy Preston is just amazing, and he brings an aura about him that just makes the group on top of their game. I wish he joined the group full-time. Who knows what we could have gotten. 2 more Beatles albums because of that, possibly. Back to the rooftop. I loved seeing multiple camera angles at once. I thought that was really nice touch by Peter Jackson and the editing team. I know that the cops were important to the plot of the story, but I would have liked it to focus more on the Beatles actually up there in their element. Playing the last live performance of their entire career as a group. I think that you could have instead replaced shots of just policemen standing there with the Beatles performing for the last time live together. Part 4, conclusion. I'm going to put a little disclaimer here. This may come off as very cynical. I absolutely love the Beatles, their music, with my whole heart, with all of my heart, and this film has been added to that realm as well. It is absolutely amazing. I just wanted to give my review of the film. Obviously, this is a critique, so I'm going to be a little cynical here. I'm going to point out the bits that I didn't like because I'm trying to be comprehensive. Though I'm also showing you my favorite parts of it. With that out of the way, I would rate this film a 93 out of 100. As stated by my few qualms, my main one is that we should have had all 57 plus hours of archival footage. If not that, then the first cut 18-hour edition. This will only quench my thirst for so long. I mean, the 6-hour cut. I will soon need to take another sip of the everlasting fountain that is the new lost knowledge of the Beatles. My second and final large qualm is the policeman shots. It was a historic concert, and I only wish it wasn't interrupted as much. Though, to put a compliment on to the end of that, I love how much of it we get to see. Almost half the film, or at least a third, is the rooftop concert. At least that episode. And that is just amazing. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you don't take this too seriously. Obviously, I take it seriously because it's my opinions about the show. I also hope you enjoyed the video. This is a new direction for the channel, more scripted and video essay-esque. I also hope you enjoyed the video. I already said that. My work, image, and video site cited is in the description. Please comment any questions you have or suggestions for another video. It is much appreciated when you do. Thank you very much, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.